Hello, friends. The 974th day of the war between Russia and Ukraine continues. Today, the situation for the Ukrainian armed forces in the area of Hirnyk and Selydove continued to rapidly deteriorate. The Ukrainian military telegram channel Deep State confirms information about a major enemy advance in Selydove and to the south of the city. Let me remind you that yesterday, the Ukrainian military reported that the Russians had already reached the area of multi-story buildings in the city center, where the main fortified area of the Ukrainian armed forces is located. Russian resources also reported that the assault groups of the Russian army had reached the central buildings of Selydove. According to them, the advance in the city has accelerated significantly. In addition, a video with a Russian flag on one of the multi-story buildings in Selydove appeared in Russian telegram channels yesterday. Also yesterday, Deep State showed major advances of the Russians to the west of Hirnyk in the Novodmitrovka area. Today, the Ukrainian military writes that the Russians are consolidating in multi-story buildings in the center of Selydove, where the main fortified area of the Ukrainian armed forces was. There are also reports of a large number of Russian infantry advancing, which manages to infiltrate houses and basements. Regarding Selydove, unfortunately, everything is as I said. The enemy is successful in the center, has already occupied several high-rise buildings. Watching the footage of the battles and the state of the city's buildings, I want to say with sadness that the battles for Selydove are somewhat reminiscent of the battles for Novogrodivka. There is little good, writes an officer of the Ukrainian army with the call sign Alex. Let me remind you that Novogrodivka is a settlement near Selydove, which the Russians captured in August practically without a fight. Fighter Muchnoy also draws parallels with Novogrodivka and writes that in Selydove, there is not much time left to hold the defense. Ukraine, according to him, currently controls no more than 15% of the city. The fate of the city of Selydove is quite sad. The enemy continues to advance with high rises and install their rags on the buildings. The accumulation of new reserves is significantly felt when you are trying to get out of encirclement from one street. At least a platoon is already waiting for you behind. The enemy currently controls about 85% of the city. Our guys are still holding certain areas, but soon everyone will have to retreat because the advantage in manpower is felt. Therefore, it won't be long before we can hold the line here, just like it was in Novogrodivka, the soldier concludes. At the same time, the situation continues to worsen to the south, in Hirnyk. The Deep State telegram channel confirmed the advance of the Russians inside the city, as well as the entry of the Russians into neighboring Izmailivka, which blocks communication with the city from the west, leaving only the road to the south for communications. The Muchnoy fighter writes that the situation in Hirnyk is becoming extremely difficult and is gradually forcing our troops to retreat. According to him, the enemy is breaking through the line of defense in Novoselidivka, and the Russians have already gained a foothold in Izmailivka yesterday. Now the last supply road is under the complete fire control of the Russians. If we give the order to continue holding the line in Hirnyk, this will lead to the fact that our military will not be able to get out of there. Maybe someone will hear me and will not give the order to the military to hold Hirnyk, but will simply take and withdraw them from there, because the fighting for Pokrovsk will happen very soon, and take my word for it, the enemy has enough reserves. Therefore, in order to save as many lives as possible, you need to be aware of the situation and understand how to act correctly. I don't see any correct decisions yet, writes a fighter with the call sign Muchnoy. Apparently, the rapid advance of the Russians in Hirnyk became possible, among other things, due to the withdrawal of units of the armed forces of Ukraine from their positions. Relatives of the military are writing en masse online that the 210th Separate Battalion of the 120th Brigade ended up in an operational encirclement because the neighboring 154th Battalion, under pressure from Russia, left its position. At the same time, they say that the unit suffered very heavy losses. The command promised reinforcements, but in fact, they never arrived. As a result, the 210th Battalion decided to break out of the encirclement and left its positions in Hirnyk, for which they received threats of execution from the command. And soon they received an order to return to Hirnyk, which most of the fighters refused to carry out due to their moral and physical exhaustion. It is also reported that a statement was written to the State Bureau of Investigations against the soldiers with accusations of desertion. The command of the Armed Forces of Ukraine has not yet officially commented on this situation. But let me remind you that a similar situation recently occurred in the area of Vuhledar, where the withdrawal of one of the units from its positions led to the rapid fall of the city. Friends, this channel exists solely thanks to your support. If you have the opportunity and desire to support the channel, I will be very grateful to you. Thank you very much and see you in the next video.